Hey Olivia, how's it going?
Hello there.
How you doing today?
Working my mad scientist, Ave. No, it's going good. It's going good. I'm
What's
moving
been
on my
happening?
project. Find 500 leads, just dedicated on that market. So I'm working on like putting the package together in a GoHighLevel. Just getting all the complete snapshot of the system. And then after I present that, and I'm thinking about like as well, like I said, the guide, first level guide, and I'm wondering because I have a new system for creating digital products. If it's gonna help to create that one easily,
Mhm.
I'm gonna put it to the test. That's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And what's been happening with the playground manufacturer? What's been happening there?
Well, I'm onboarding the team tomorrow for the USA, and I've created already like it took, like I say, it took the basic level for the account.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna upsell him very soon because basically what's happening is he just landed some very big clients through a referral. Normally, he's installing for Skyzone, which is like a franchise, but they have like 300 to 400 meter of tube. Like for the installer, the metallic tube is what the superficie in meters for metallic tube is what gives them how big of a project it is for them. So
Mm-hmm.
he's used to install a lot of them at like 3 to 400, and now he's been referred that client who is a franchise which are already like 15 opens, and they want to open 4 more and in 2026 and 16 more in 2027, and
Wow.
that's playground of 5,000 to 7,000 meters of tube. So it's completely different scale. It's really good client for him. He's gonna make a bundle. So the good thing is because he's gonna get a lot of money through that. He's gonna be reinvesting some on developing the USA office. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, they're gonna need to upgrade. Get the AI employee and all the bells and whistles for them.
Yeah, it's a very interesting market to be honest. And honestly, I have seen all of the McDonald's playgrounds. I've never
Yeah.
once thought someone has to install that. I've never,
No,
never.
but like the fact now, Christina made me think about like, yeah, what about as well as the one who are doing all the maintenance to
Yeah.
automatize and manage through GoHighLevel the tours and all the communication and to book the appointment for the team to go and do the maintenance and and
Yeah,
like I
definitely.
said, like he wants to do that in South Africa as well, because in South Africa they got tons of McDonald's, but also like
Mm-hmm.
some other small supermarket who always have like a little structure like that, play structure in it. So they
Mm-hmm.
need a lot of maintenance. So yeah, all these kind of actors are good targets. So
I'd imagine the maintenance is actually very important, especially with kids concerned. They have to probably keep it up to standard and
exactly, and in some countries it's very you better make sure that everything is up to par to avoid
yeah,
lawsuits and stuff. So
definitely.
yeah,
Definitely. That's it's a very interesting industry. Definitely is high ticket without really being high ticket, I suppose. It's often probably
yeah.
funded by different things, and there's probably a lot of incentives as well from local authorities. I bet you there's a lot of that stuff that goes on. Different ways they pay for it, and
Or for the outdoor ones, they have line of budget in the cities,
mm,
for replacement and for new ones. It's because basically it's like improving the living together, the communities. So you got that, but then
yeah,
you got also like everything which is like churches and faith centers who can do some collecting to be able to finance that kind of project, and all of that.
mhm.
So yeah, it's donation and all this. So there's plenty of ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. Definitely
And
never
when
come
you see the
across.
price of the modules, it
What are you
goes
talking
fast.
about?
It goes
What are you
fast.
What are you talking about? Well, how much do they cost?
Well, for example, a play module, like you just one with like some climbing parts, a couple of towers, slides on the side and stuff, you get to $150,000 easily.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? For what? Jeez, that's crazy. And how
Yes.
much do you think their profit is on that? Do you think it's pretty substantial, or?
That I have no clue about the margin on that, because like the one I'm talking about now that I see the prices is like it's very good quality ones, so
Yeah.
they use very good material and stuff, so I cannot imagine that it's huge profit
Mm,
margins. But yeah, it's never that alone. It's like then you got the benches, then you got all smaller modules to put around, and this little this little module where you sit the riders that you sit on and
yeah.
do things like that on it
Yeah.
as a kid, like the swings, the carousels. I mean, there's so many things to build a playground that you have, like you can have a lot of add-ons, and yeah,
So I reckon you could probably get to 500K for an installation pretty quickly.
very quickly, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, I guess if you think that their profit margin, if it was 10%, maybe like 20 to 50,000 and once the installation, yeah, I mean, the problem is how many are they installing, right? Across the over the course of a year, the revenue is going to be super high. It's just if their profit is actually going to be as
Yeah,
high, who
exactly.
knows?
But
But I guess the maintenance, even
yeah,
referrals,
exactly. When you build that on, and with the maintenance, with the replacement, with the extension,
yeah,
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 it's all
definitely.
right. Yeah.
Definitely. That's good. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I know Christina's also got something pretty similar cooking over there and in the playground market as well. But I'm just waiting a few more seconds because we started quite early today for people hopping in because I'm getting requests all the time here. So I'll wait till maybe like 3 more minutes and then dive into the training. But before I do, does anybody have any questions? We'll answer questions at the end. I'll do a live Q&A and go around everybody if there's any questions you do have. But does anybody have any immediate questions, maybe shorter questions they wanted to cover before we dive in? Feel free to ask whatever it is you need. If you want to raise your hand or you want to just unmute yourself, feel free. Happy to answer. And Duncan, I'm just reading through your stuff here as well with the upsells. I was just saying, I think if the tool is tangible, that's why I suggested that. But I haven't had a chance to check out the real estate tool that you mentioned. So if you are around
Yeah.
to give me some background on that, I can answer real
Yeah.
quick.
So can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of forgot I'd made it. Did it like 6 months ago. Basically, so yeah, property valuation AI. At the moment, it only works with Spanish ID lister listings,
Mhm.
but that's like 90% of Spanish property is going to be on there. Basically, it will take a look at the listing, it'll scrape all the images, it'll look up the location, and it'll use like deep research to produce a report on the property, taking into account the location, and
Mhm.
it will try and spot things that are like potentially, potential red flags with the listing, and then it will give you like a cost estimate of what, if that is an issue, what it might cost. So it picks up on all kinds of stuff that you
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily think of.
Mhm.
So obviously not everyone who is buying the guide at this stage is like at the stage to buy property.
Mhm.
So and I don't know how to price it exactly. But yeah, that's what it is. I don't know if that's kind of I can maybe bundle it with other stuff. I don't know.
I actually think it's interesting. I think if you can trade it somehow to the thing you told me not too long ago was that all of these fantastic deals that they see on the countryside properties that they've got to watch out for because they are not regulated or they're not actually, they just got away
Yes.
with building those.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
basically, yeah, so for me it's more of an issue because I need to get a mortgage, and so the bank just simply won't allow it. But
Mhm.
like that, I mean, you should still, obviously, if you're buying with cash, you should still be aware of that stuff, because maybe it's like maybe you shouldn't buy it, or maybe
Yeah,
there's
well, it impacts their
these hidden
resale,
things.
right? It
Yeah.
impacts the resale because their market's smaller because nobody can get a mortgage for it. So I think it would be important. I think if someone told me, even if it's future, in the future, let's say, oh hey, you've got tool here that will help you analyze properties that you're interested in, but also help you watch out for the typical things that you wouldn't necessarily think of if you're coming from the US and moving to Spain. You wouldn't think of that. You just wouldn't think of it. So I think they would find that very beneficial. So I think that would be a great asset, and I would highlight that because that's one. Property valuations and what to look out for is pretty standard protocol. But the unique thing about Spain is they have a lot of these countryside. What are they called? What's the name of those things? Whatever they're called. There's
Like,
there's a name for
there's
them.
various names. If you mean like a sort of romantic farmhouse, then it might be called like a cortijo.
That's it. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's one of them. But lots of people, obviously, especially people retiring, like they want to be kind of a bit in, maybe secluded in the countryside. There's
Mhm.
different profiles. Like some people when they're retiring, they want to be in an apartment in the city so they can walk everywhere.
Mhm.
With somewhere that's got a lift, and they want to, in case they can't drive in the future. But some people want to be like out in the countryside and have space and have the
Mhm.
dogs running around, all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. I think just having when people are in the preparation stage, they want basically as much intelligence as they possibly can gather because that becomes a resource for them, right? That makes them feel in quite a in quite a it's a big move for them, right? So they can feel anxious about this move. So what this means is that the more information they have, the more secure they feel. So having a tool like that they can fall back on is perfect. So if you think about your upsells as ways that you can remove anxiety for people and uncertainty on the things they don't know, just like your what was it you saw in your message? It
Uh,
was the
So I've
gesture
got,
stuff, right? Because I
yeah,
know they
yeah,
can
yeah.
be slow, they can disappear, they can abandon you halfway through the process. Some of them get it right, some of them get it wrong. So many variables they will not be used to. Like that's uncertainty. So plug that gap for them.
Yeah, so and then in terms of pricing for that, I'm not really sure what to do. I mean, it does have it will have a cost to run it. So all the other stuff at the moment is just information. So the basically is doesn't cost me anything.
Mhm.
Having it something where it's using the AI, obviously there is a cost. Like 6 months ago when I built this, I think it was costing me like, I don't know, like $2 or $3 per report, because
Mhm.
it does so much behind the scenes. Maybe it's cheaper now. I haven't really looked into it, because things have moved on. But so I don't know. I mean, I can just say it's like a lifetime thing and just work on the basis that people aren't going to use it that much.
I would probably do your first 10 reports for $97 or something similar, something like that. First 10 reports, $97. And then, well, that would be $30 for you, or 20 to 30. And then I would do something like $10 or $15 per report afterwards. But you get wholesale rates. It's usually 30 or so. Position like that where they're not going to do more than 10. But what it does is it gives them the information as to what happens after the 10, and also they get the first 10 included, so it's tangible for them, right?
Yeah, and I guess I can say it's normally like 97 a month or something.
Yeah, and they get a lifetime
And
deal or something.
basically, yeah, so it's kind of it's like a lifetime deal, but it's not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wholesale rates. It's lifetime pricing, basically, right? um so yes, that's what I would say for that one.
And basically it is pretty easy, because I would be like otherwise hesitant to be trying to sell like a software product to kind of consumers, especially when they're like pushing
Yeah.
70 years old. but
exactly. They're not committed
it
to it
does.
yet either.
They basically just have to put the link in, and then it produces the report and sends it to them. So it's not like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I'll have a look at the stuff for you though in a bit more detail, and we can cover it off.
Cool.
All right. All right. All right. So what I'll do is I'll come back around to any questions anyone has at the end there and open up the room, open up the floor. But what we're going to be covering today is an in-depth training on how to actually sell the AI employee and the automation systems. This is my sales framework. This is how I ascend people. This is how I transition them from one service into the whole bundle, you know, say 1K per month. And this is a framework. And what I've got at the end of this is I've got basically an SOP for this, right? And I'm going to put it into a document. And if you want it, you can have it. It will be like a cheat sheet for you, right? You could have it there, and it basically will frame your sales calls for you. Now, this process is the exact flow that I use, and you're going to see the different psychological points throughout this, but it's designed to be simple. Okay, it's designed to be something you can replicate, not only on a sales call, but also in conversation. So if you are at networking events and you're just having a conversation with somebody, this is something you can use, right? You can actually, you don't really have to memorize this process. It's more ingraining this way of having a conversation into your world, right? So when you're at networking events, this will be very, very beneficial for you. And this is how you can naturally turn that conversation into a sale, into an interested prospect. So I'll be taking you into the system itself and how we flow between the AI employees to database reactivation, to reviews, referrals, and more. Now, let's dive into the training. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is they try to sell the features and the benefits of each system. So the AI employees, they try and sell the features and benefits, or the database reactivation, how the automations work. They try to focus so much on this. What this does is if you try to focus on that, it transitions, it forces the call into a pitch, right? It forces it into a pitch. You're trying to sell them different features. Whereas what I want to do is I want to reverse that entirely. I want this to feel so far from a sales call that they can't even connect the dots. One golden rule to remember in all of your marketing and all of your systems, everything that you do, one golden rule is that when the customers and prospects start to understand the sales process, it doesn't work as effectively anymore. That's why things like webinars, if you remember the webinars where it used to be you sign up to learn something in particular, you spend 90 minutes on a webinar that was like a rags to riches story, and then all of a sudden you have a sales pitch at the end where you don't actually learn anything throughout that process. You just get the testimonials and you just get the fluff, and then you've got to pay for the information. When people started to learn that sales process, that's where you would see webinars and things start to die out a little bit, right? They wouldn't be as effective because the market became too educated. So what that means is that we want our process to be as rock solid where the sales process is never obvious. People don't know they're being sold to. That's the most natural way for us to do this. Now, we have multiple services and systems within this deal, right? As I said, you've got the AI employees, database reactivation, reviews, referrals, and also the lifetime value systems. Multiple different facets to this. So we do not want to be listing features and benefits. When you lead with features, you lose the prospect before you even get started. They start to compare and contrast the different services they've seen before. They start to think about, well, this one offered X and yours offers Y. I want them to be in a position where they literally cannot compare and contrast anything. It's so far from anything they have ever seen before that they can't even compare the numbers. Just give me 1 second to let a couple of guys in here. So they can't even compare the numbers. One of the most important things for us is to have no hard sales, right? The prospect should naturally come to the decision that they want to buy themselves. They make that decision. We want to reverse the process. So most people try to sell. We reverse that and have the prospect coming to us. It's this magnetic effect. They come to us wanting to buy. They don't really know what it is they can buy because they haven't seen products, they haven't seen features or benefits. They just think, I want more help. I want you to do this. I don't know what it is, but I want you to do it. Very, very powerful position for us to be in. And it becomes magnetic. It creates this light bulb moment multiple times throughout a call or a conversation. Every few minutes, every time we hit a different point, that little light bulb in their mind lights up and they think, that makes a lot of sense. That's the moment where they sell themselves. We get them into a position where they sell themselves. This is why your relationship with your customers and your clients is going to be so much stronger. This is why they're going to stick with you, because you never sold them anything. They decided to buy. Very, very different positioning. I want the prospect to ask for more. The prospect should be pulling you forwards. They should be progressing the call. They should want to know what it is so much that they're the ones moving the call forwards, not the other way around. We don't follow this flow where we have to have decision anchors. What I mean by decision anchors is in traditional sales training, you may have seen before, there's different points in the conversation where you ask certain questions to move them along, right? So it's a question of, in terms of, can you see how this works? Or do you see how this fits into your business? Have you tried something like this before? These are different parts of the conversation where you're trying to move them along. With the way we do things, the customer's moving us along, and it gives them this sense of control. The reality is, right, and this is very important, the reality is you control the call, but they feel like they can control the call. The reason I do this is because when they feel like they control the call, they make the decision. We're not forcing them into a decision. They feel like they're in enough control to then make that decision, which means there's no hard sales needed. They make the decision for us on the call because they feel like they control things. But the truth of the matter is, the reality is, based on these frameworks, you control things. They just don't see it, right? That's the magic in it. So no hard sales, reverse the process, make it magnetic, make them come towards you. We transition the prospect from one area to the next. This is how we completely avoid any sense of overwhelm, okay? We're avoiding the sense of overwhelm. It's going to increase your close rates because it's very hard to compare and contrast other services. If you've ever had people having to think about something or go away and speak to their business partner, or they want to have a couple, maybe you've seen people who have said, I've got a couple of calls with other businesses I want to have first. They're having to think about things, right? Because they're comparing and contrasting. We're going to give it or get them into a position where that's not even in the realm of what they do. When you understand how to structure this, your sales calls will become significantly easier. Conversations in general will become a lot easier for you. Those networking events will become a lot easier for you. Everything starts to flow a lot more smoothly, okay? Even conversations. I use these types of structures just in daily life, daily conversations that I have, even at things like if you go to, let's say you went to a Christmas party or something, right? A business one, maybe a client invited you or whatever the structure is. I use these strategies in those conversations. When someone tries to pitch me via Messenger or something like this, I use this exact flow to flip them and turn them into a client. You'd be amazed at how well this works. So it's all about problems and solutions. Every business owner has a goal. The reason they buy your service is because they have an objective, a goal. They want to increase the amount of money they make. And this is general. This is probably the scenario for most, if not all, very, very close to all of the business owners that you will speak to. They want to make more money without having to spend more money. Think about that sentence. They want to make more money without having to spend more money. That's the holy grail. Now, the beauty of it is the way we can position our services is exactly hitting the nail on the head here, right? It hits this problem. We give them the ability to make more money without having to spend a lot more money. That's why this is so strong, so powerful. Then you've got the obstacles. So what stands in the way of them and their goals are a series of problems they don't know how to solve. So you have the objective. They want to make more money without spending more money. And then you've got the obstacles, which is a series of problems that they do not know how to solve. I want you to remember that. Okay. Then you've got the chain reaction. When we solve one problem, we create the next problem that they haven't even thought of. So this is such an important concept for you to really digest, right? If you can understand this, if you can hold this in your mind and you start to see how this works, this will change the framework of all your conversations. When we solve one problem, we create the next problem that they haven't even thought of. Then when they see the second problem, the good news is that we have already got the solution for that next problem ready to go. So think about it like this. They have a problem. We can solve that problem, but then we expose the next problem that they have. They haven't even thought about that. It creates this sense of anxiety. It creates this sense of uncertainty of, oh, I've just fixed one problem and I've got another one. I don't know how to fix this. But then we can rescue them. We can solve that problem for them that they haven't even thought about. This pattern repeats itself, right? It happens again and again and again and again. We just turn that dial over and over and over again. And what this does is it creates this sense of trust. It creates this sense of they have my back. They know the answers to the problems based on their experience that I've never even considered. So it creates that sense of trust. It creates that sense of, how can I live without these people? They know what I don't know before I even have to know it. So if I just work with them, all my problems are solved because they know what the problems are that I don't even have to think about. It removes chaos. If you've watched any of the recent sessions or you've been on the recent sessions, I speak a lot about removing the business owner from chaos. That's a mode of selling, simplifying their life. What we're doing is we're taking all these future problems, these future things that spin in their brain, that take up all their thought, and we take that problem away from them. We make life a lot easier. We make it a lot simpler for them. We remove them from chaos. And that's the magic. So the cycle repeats itself over and over and over again. And each time that we do this, we are one step ahead. We aren't telling them, this is super important, we are not telling them that they have these problems. We expose the gap with simple questions that stump the business owner. I'm not just asking questions. My questions are very intentional. I want to stump the business owner. I want them to sit in silence. I want to ask the question and I want them to not have an answer for me. That's my goal. People always say, or often say, ask questions where it's not a yes or no answer. They have to expand. I want to ask questions where they don't have an answer, where I know they don't have an answer, where it raises that sense of uncertainty. And you'll see why in a few seconds. When we stump the business owner, the good news is that we can create that sense of uncertainty, but we already have the solution to the problem that they haven't even thought about. The power is in the question. When they arrive at the realization themselves, they can't deny it. So when I ask them a question and they don't have the answer to that question, it creates that moment of uncertainty and they realize, I do have that. I do have that problem. I don't have the answer to that problem. It creates a little bit of chaos, stress, but then we can instantly stop that stress, give them that sense of safety, that sense of they've got me covered. They've just removed me from stress immediately. So you see, I'm not going to say playing with the emotions a little bit, but I'm controlling how they think, right? I'm controlling how I can create that sense of stress, then I can stop it. Create it, stop it, create it, stop it over and over and over again, because it creates that sense of trust, okay? That's the secret behind it. So we're not telling them they've got these problems. I'm asking them questions that basically make them realize themselves that they have these problems. Then I'm going to give you an example. Now we're going to come on to how these directly apply to AI employees and database reactivation. I'm going to give you the scenario for it, but this is a very, very clear example, a very simple way to think about it. Okay, let's look at lead generation as an example. The first problem a business has is a lead generation problem. They don't have enough calls booked into the calendar. Their goal is to make more sales. Their goal is not to get more leads. Their goal is to get more sales. But in order to get more sales, they have to get more leads. They've got to get more sales calls, right? It's like their goal is never to get more leads. Their goal is to make more money. But to do so, the mechanism is through leads. So their focus is always, I have to have more leads. I've got to get more sales calls. That's what they believe. The first solution to this problem is we install a lead generation system that books calls into their calendar to solve that problem, right? They have that sense of relief. We've solved the problem. In their mind, the biggest problem was we need more leads, we need more calls. All of a sudden, they've got a lead generation system, a big sense of relief. That problem has been solved. I don't have to think about it anymore. Feels fantastic. It removes it from their mind, that sense of relief. It's like paracetamol, right? Or a painkiller, ibuprofen or Advil or whatever, Tylenol. It's like that. You've got a headache, a really bad headache. You take that painkiller, it goes away. You feel so much better, such a sense of relief. It doesn't really fix the real problem. We all know that, right? We're all sitting at desks all day. That's why we've got headaches. We're all hunched over at a screen. That's why we've got headaches. It's a neck problem or something. We should be at the chiropractor. But the paracetamol takes that pain away for a few moments. But it doesn't solve the real problem. It's just a painkiller. So the next problem emerges. New calls are booked into the calendar. With all of these new calls, you've got your new shiny lead generation system. With all of these calls booked into the calendar, there's a sense of relief. But if they don't close those sales, they don't actually reach their goal. Because remember, their goal was never leads. Their goal was to make more money. If they don't close the sales, they don't make more money. They'll simply have more calls, but not more sales. Then we introduce the silence. It's the art of the silence here. Do they have a sales process in place that will take care of this increased call volume? Do they feel confident with that increased call volume that they're going to take full advantage of it, that they can close these leads that are maybe a bit colder because they've previously just had referrals coming in? Maybe they're a bit colder. Are they capable? Do they feel confident in doing so? We ask the question and we just let it go silent. I don't help them with the answer. I just let it sit with them. It just sits there and it stews in their brain, it goes round and round and round and rounds, and that problem basically takes over and the uncertainty and the chaos starts to reemerge. I don't have a process in place. I don't have that in place. What do I do about that? Then when you look at, will the process they have in place right now actually be able to close more calls? Are they nervous about taking those calls? If they don't close those calls, they don't capitalize on their new leads. It just burns money. It takes them further away from their goal. They're so close to it. They've now got the leads they wanted. They're so close. But if they don't get it over the line, they walk away with nothing. The scoreboard still says 0. And that sense of, oh, it's like a deep, oh, I didn't think of that, creeps in. They only thought of the first problem. It's the paracetamol that takes the headache away. They were hyper-focused on getting more calls and more leads, but they didn't think about what they'd do with those leads. Then we rescue them. Don't worry though, we can install a sales system and deliver sales training to ensure they make the most of every single lead. When those new calls come in and your lead flow increases, you can actually close those calls and drive your revenue. So we're solving the problem. So we've created that sense of chaos. solve the problem instantly. Very easy. Solve the problem. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about anything. It's taken care of. They feel like we have everything under control, that we think of the problems they don't even consider. They haven't even thought about them yet. So think about this. They've come from a position of having a problem, having it solved, having never thought of the new problem they're going to have, which is a whole other battle, but it's already been solved before they even think about it. It's a nice place to be, right? It's a very nice place to be. It becomes a trusted position. They feel like they've found their answer, and the natural next step is very, very clear. So this is the natural opening and closing of doors. As we close one problem door, the next one swings open. This framework solves various problems one by one, just knocks them off one by one by one by one. The mistake people make is trying to sell every system all at once. We can sell them as a package service, but we must isolate each problem and solution within the sales pitch. So let's turn this into the systems themselves. We have 3 different entry points for customers, 3 different ways they can come into our world, come into our systems. You've got the email approach, where we can offer to install a review or a referral system at no cost in 15 minutes via email. We've got the ladder funnel, which is using paid advertising, offering the same system for $27, say, through a ladder funnel to qualify and attract prospects. And then we've got the AI employee demo. So we drive traffic to an AI employee demo, get them on a call to get their own demo or their own AI employee installed. Now, people think I'm crazy when I say I offer to install a review system or a referral system at no cost or for $27. They think I'm crazy, but there's method to my madness here. I can do this in 15 minutes. 15 minutes. That's all it takes me. There's very, very good reason as to why I do this. So it fits perfectly into our sales flow, and it easily opens doors. I know that if I can simply get a business owner to speak to me, I can run the sales framework and have them ascend naturally. The review system, if I offer to fix a business owner's reviews, I simply have to connect their Google reviews and set up the pre-built automation. That's all I've got to do, right? It's fast and it's easy. Set up the review automation and connect their Google business profile, basically. Super fast and easy. But they've got to speak to me to set that up. They have to talk to me, right? Think about that. They have to talk to me. They must onboard. And that's where the magic starts to happen. The onboarding call is the sales call. We can offer the review or the referral system through emails or through ads. It's a very fast and easy way to deliver. It's this simple offer. They then have to speak to me to set that up, to get everything connected. So it's a simple onboarding process and call. And on that call, on that particular call, I can take them through the entire framework and open every single door. Every one of them solving the problems. I'm going to show you how this is done. So have a look at this. I'm going to take you through a script flow here, okay? And you're going to see how we ebb and flow. You're going to see how we move through this process. So this is the way to view this is if we're speaking to a prospect, and I have obviously got commentator notes here to explain a few certain things. First of all, starting with the reviews. So let's say they have booked in. We're going to get them sorted with a review system set up, $27 or at no cost. When we get your reviews automation set up, your presence on Google is going to be stronger. There's a higher likelihood that customers will choose to call you versus a competitor. So instead of calling a competitor, they're now calling you first, simply because you've got better and more recent reviews. You've got a higher volume of them as well. So when they look for your service on Google, instead of choosing your competitor because you had too few reviews previously, they choose to call you now So we'll fix that problem. You're not losing that business anymore. They're not chasing your competitors. Your reviews are going to build up because you've got the automation system in place. They're going to build up, and more traffic, more intent-based leads are going to come to you. Now, we want to make sure that you take full advantage of these leads. They're searching for your service. This is your chance. You can speak to them before your competitor does. But both you and I know customers can call at all hours. If you don't answer that call, they're going to call your competitor. The next phone call goes to your competitor. It becomes the next listing on Google. If you don't take advantage of it, the same thing is going to happen over and over and over again. But again, both you and I know customers can call at all hours of the night. And this is where the next door naturally swings open. Watch this. Are you going to be able to take those calls that come in around the clock? Maybe when you're at dinner with family, it's late at night and you're watching TV, when you're spending time with your kids, when you're walking the dog, when you're sleeping. I know it's difficult to always be available, but you want to convert those leads. You don't want to lose them. You don't want to lose them to your competitors. Are you going to have the time? You ask the question and you just let it sit there. Are you going to have the time? And I love the silence. A lot of people feel pressure to speak first, right? They want to speak. It can feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. That's normal. But in this silence, you have to let them speak first. Just let it sit there. Let it sit there. I've had one scenario, and it was with this guy, and he was an incredibly good salesperson, super high up in the mortgage industry, super high up in the mortgage space, had done incredibly well, like VP level in the mortgage space. And I had a call with him, and I did the silence, and we waited a few minutes. It was a good 120 seconds of silence, and he said, "So are you going to speak first, or am I going to speak first? Because we know whoever does loses." He clocked onto it, but he still respected it. He still closed. The point is that, this is an incredibly powerful technique. If you just use that silence and you get comfortable in that silence, it works really, really well. So we're going to use it. We just let it sit there in that discomfort. Then we're going to rescue them. Let it become a bit uncomfortable, where they're honest with themselves, where they need to feel the weight of the gap before you offer that solution. That's why I let it sit with them, right? I want those thoughts ticking over in their brain. I don't have that would be really intense, but I also don't want to lose those leads. I'm putting a lot of effort into them. I want those leads. I want to move my business forwards, but I want to spend time with my kids. I'm already tired. I'm already exhausted. I'm already working all day. Then I want to come home. I don't want to have to answer calls, but I do want those leads. It creates the chaos in their mind. You see how that creates the chaos? So they feel the weight of it. This is the problem. This is that's the light bulb, right? That's the, oh, I do have that problem. Wait a second, I do have that problem. But then Superman comes along and we rescue them. Actually, we can solve that problem for you, and make sure you capture and capitalize on every single lead, that you don't lose them to your competitors. And you'll notice I've used that term a couple of times, right? Because it's something people hate. They can lose money, but they don't want to lose it to their competitors. They don't want to lose it to John down the street. They don't want to lose it to that guy. So I use that trigger quite a lot, especially after putting the work in to improve your reviews. You're doing the good work. You're putting the work in. You're treating customers well. You're getting the reward of all these customers leaving your reviews, and you're going to let your competitor get all the business. We can fix that. You don't have to worry about it. What we can do is we can install an AI employee that is fully trained on your industry and your business, as well as sales. So it's not just a receptionist. The AI employee knows how to spot opportunities. It knows how to handle objections and convert customers around the clock, 24/7. It's always working. And instead of losing those leads, they're now booked in around the clock. Your business and systems start working for you. Now, remember, I want you to pay close attention to a couple of the terms that I use throughout this process. If you catch the little nuances, it's you're 10 steps ahead here. You'll see that I said the systems and your business start working for you, right? They work for you, because what's the classic term that every business owner has heard? You don't want to work on the business. Sorry, what is it? You don't want to work in the business. You want to work on the business. Everyone's heard that term. What I'm doing is I'm playing with that a little bit, right? So I'm saying things start working for you, elevates them to that position they really wanted to go subconsciously. So you'll notice I also didn't really dive into what an AI employee is really. I didn't go into the depths of it. I didn't go into knowledge bases and all that kind of stuff. My description was literally 3 lines. That's it, 3 short lines. That's my description of an AI employee. Then I flipped straight to the outcome, which was instead of losing those leads, they're now booked into your calendar around the clock. Now I'm going to monetize this. Just from missed calls after hours and leads that disappeared after quotes, you could have 50K in lost revenue per year, minimum at least 50K in lost revenue per year. All we're doing is capturing and converting leads around the clock 24/7, so nothing slips through. I had an experience today with a receptionist. I was trying to call the dentist again to get booked in, and it was crazy. It was like I almost felt insulted on the call. It was crazy because the receptionist was going by, as she kept saying, the practice policy, and I had a short time frame. It's long story short. The point is, it was a receptionist. It wasn't a salesperson. I was like private dental clinic, all that kind of stuff. I'm there to, because I need stuff fixed. Like I'm not, I'm there to do business basically, right? And I'm being spoken to as if I'm trying to, if you don't show up, etc., all the policies and stuff like that. They're not trained in sales. They're just reading from that script, no matter who they're speaking to. So that's the reality, is where receptionists are not trained on sales. The biggest asset is that these AI employees are trained to convert customers as well as do the job of the receptionist. That's the reality that we're working with. Then we progress on, and it's just natural conversation, right? I'm not closing them on an AI employee right there. Then I'm saying, I'm moving into, come to think of it, over the last few years, do you think there have been a lot of leads that have called after hours and you missed them? Or maybe you've provided quotes that maybe they seemed really enthusiastic, they were all ready to go, but then they just disappeared? And you'll notice the way I said that. I'm not unsure of what I'm saying. I'm saying it in a conversational tone that sounds as if I'm just thinking of it, right? And that's something you can work on, just that conversational flow, how we use it deliberately. We stutter, not stutter, but I slow down and have pauses and gaps deliberately. So it gives the impression that I'm just thinking of this and I'm not reading from a script. So I ask that question and then I let them answer, because we know it's a loaded question, right? They feel so frustrated. They hate all the leads that disappeared. They hate the people they provided quotes to and they were super excited and they had them on the wall on their whiteboard in the pipeline. Deal closed, ready to go, should be paid next week, disappears. That irks them. That irks people. And it drives them up the wall. So I've answered I've asked a loaded question there. You've provided quotes and they seemed enthusiastic, rubbing the salt in the wounds, but then they just disappeared. That's the last question I answer, because that's what they're going to focus on. Silence. I let them answer. Just let them feel it. Right? They've got to think of all, and that's what will happen. All those scenarios, all those different names of people that have done that to them will come racing to the top of their brain, and it starts to irritate them and it starts to aggravate them. And then we move on. It's just a case of following up with them consistently, right? We can convert those leads, but really you've just got to consistently follow up. You and I know, we both know there's lots of money in it, but you've got to have the time to do it, right? We know there's tons of money sitting in your pipeline. If you just reactivated those old quotes, you'd have thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000s, just sitting there in old quotes, just sitting there. But it does take time. Can you follow up with those leads, or do you already have a lot going on? I'm giving them the answer there, right? They know they've got a lot going on. They know they can't follow up. They know they should, and I've told them they should, and I've told them that's the answer. They know they should. They know the outcome that they want is there. They know they can make more money, but I've also sympathized with them. But you've got a lot going on. The good news is that I can install a system that reactivates these leads for you, completely hands-free. And it's built for each season. So winter going into spring, summer into fall, different offers throughout the year. So you can recover all of those leads, all those quotes without having to think about your systems. They just do it automatically. It just happens in the background. You can recover all that business. So again, I'm not really selling. I'm just solving the problem very naturally. First, I'll go through the process. Very simple steps. First, we'll run, and again, I want you to notice the terms I'm using here. I'm assuming the close, right? At this point, I'm assuming that we're working together. What I'm doing is I'm acting as if I'm speaking to a teammate on a strategy, like a business partner. We should do this. What we're going to do is we're going to do this. I'm leading the way and telling my team what we're doing. I'm acting as if the client is part of my team and I'm leading the way, because that's what they want. They want someone to tell them what to do. So first, we'll run a campaign to recover any quotes that have been given in the past that have just disappeared. This is going to inject immediate momentum. It runs in the background. You won't have to do anything. We'll take care of everything. The system runs in the background automatically. And then after that, we'll install the system that works year-round, converting those additional deals every season. Again, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about anything of the sort. This is just going to happen as Black Friday comes around, as Christmas, as spring and Easter and summer, as those seasons roll around. You won't have to think about anything. None of it at all. You don't have to worry about any of this. We'll take care of it, and we'll just activate the system so it brings and injects that cash flow into your business. Then I move on the conversation once again. Now, you do good work. You try hard. You take care of your customers. I can see that, and I get that sense as well. Are your customers giving you referrals right now? Where does your new business come from? So you might notice that I almost sound annoyed here, right? I almost sound annoyed. Are your customers giving you referrals right now? That tone is almost aggravated, because they should be. I'm basically running parallel to the business owner with my tone. I'm being annoyed for them. Okay. So you're having to ask for those referrals every time and then hope that they give them. The customers are likely really keen and they're happy, but only some of them follow through. The rest forget about it and they leave you hanging, right? So you've been banking on these referrals coming in. They've promised them, but they just never come through. They're always busy doing something else. And I'm going to guess that you want to follow up with them. You know it will bring you business, but you're spinning so many plates right now that you just don't have the time. Does that sound about right? So again, I'm giving them a sense of understanding. I'm giving them a sense where they can say, it's okay. It's okay that they feel like this. It's okay that they're stressed out and that they're busy. It's okay. They can admit it. It's perfectly fine. It's an open environment because they're in a secure place where I'm going to help them. And I've built that pattern. I'm going to help them, right? So they can open up to me. It's like building the trust, like a trusted friend. That's the position that we move into. So I then move on to that solution. So does that sound about right? Then I put it into monetary terms. Sort of. If we drive one referral from every 3 customers, so a very feasible number, right? One customer from every 3 customers you work with, one of them refers one person. Your customer base increases by 30% without spending $1 on marketing. Referrals are the most cost-effective acquisition channel. We all know that. We just have to automate the entire process. We can install a system that drives referrals automatically for each customer and follows up with them, so you don't have to think about anything. What it's going to do is every time those jobs are complete and they're happy, it will nurture them to provide referrals and refer their friends and their family if they can help or if they can benefit from our services. You don't have to think about anything, none of it. And if just 1 of 3 refer someone, your business grows without you having to spend any more money. And let's remember, as a commentator note here, remember what their goal was, to make more money without having to spend more money. So what am I anchoring on here, right? That exact point. That's exactly what I'm basically closing on. Make more money without having to spend more money. And then I start to summarize. So this way, your business overall runs like a machine. Well, you do what you have to do, all the plates that you have spinning, you just keep doing that. You take care of business. We will handle all this stuff and help you grow. It takes all of those areas that you're losing money and fixes them. We can handle all of it. And for those that have been on these workshops before, that term fixes, you would have seen that term before. Fixes it is a term of assumption. We only fix things that are broken, okay? We only fix things that are broken. So I can say something is broken. I can say their business is broken, but they can feel defensive. They can feel insecure. They can feel scared. They can feel attacked. People don't buy from a position of feeling attacked. However, if I use the term fix, it softens that. It means I can say, look, things are broken, but don't worry, we've got it covered. We can fix it. All I have to do is use that one word, and it creates the assumption that there's something wrong that they have to fix and repair. It takes all of those areas that you're losing money. Again, a key term, losing money. They don't like that. Sometimes they don't want to lose more. Sometimes they want to lose less money more than they want to make more money because it's theirs. They have ownership of it, right? Increasing your income is future income. Losing money is something you already have possession and ownership of. They don't want to lose ownership of it, so it hurts more. That's why I frame it like this. So areas that you're losing money and fixes them. And then the objection is always, but I've got to do all this stuff. So we take care of the objection with, we can handle all of it. We can take care of it. Now I'm going to transition this into monetary terms to anchor the price points. This is where we start getting into the pricing. If you close one, and let's say HVAC, right? If you close one additional HVAC installation per month that you wouldn't otherwise have closed because it's just sitting there right now, you're losing it right now, that's $100,000 extra per year. And that's on the low end. That's on the low end, 100K extra per year. Just from missed calls. Just one part of that system. If you didn't miss calls, you'd likely get one extra installation a month without improving your reviews, without getting more referrals and growing your customer base, and without reactivating old quotes. None of that. We're talking about just not missing phone calls, and it can increase your revenue by $100,000 in a year. Imagine what the whole system can do. Most people, and you'll notice this term, most people, so what I'm doing is people are collective beings, right? People buy in groups. They want to do what everybody else does. That's why popularity is a thing. They want to do what other people do. So I will use terms like most people because it shows them what the majority will do, and people follow other people. So they're going to want to do what most people would do. Most people would easily pay $25,000 to make $100,000 extra per year. It's a no-brainer. You're quadrupling your money. Of course you would do that, right? It's a no-brainer. Of course you would. The math is undeniable. And that's before we factor in the referrals, the reviews, and the reactivated leads. Hey, you could double that, right? Of course, 25,000 is easily worth that. What I'm doing here I'm anchoring their mind on that number. So they think that's a reasonable cost, right? They think this is a reasonable cost. They anchor their brain much higher in terms of what the investment will be, right to here. And also to this, the anchor to this number, and then this is the cost in their mind, 25K. And it makes sense. I get them to agree that it would make sense, that most people would say this makes sense, the public approval, because that makes the real price a lot easier. What I can do is, instead of paying individually, I can install everything, the entire system, the whole thing, the AI employee, the review system, the referral system, the quote reactivation system for the entire year, the whole year, and I'll manage all of it, take care of everything, the entire machine, for an investment of $1,000 a month. So their brain is anchored in 25,000. So even though 1K per month is 12K, their brain sees 25,000, and that's what it braces for. It braces for impact. Then this $1,000 a month, this is what they see. This is why gas stations always price at like $2, $1.99, never $2, because your brain anchors on the one, right? This is why things are always $97, because it's close to 100, but it's not. You see 9. It's psychological, right? So the same pattern reigns true. If I anchor them at 25,000 and they brace for impact, waiting for that, because now they really want the system, they're really bought into it, because they've admitted themselves they've got all these problems, and we can just take it away so effortlessly, so easily for them. They've anchored, they've braced for impact on 25K. So when they see $1,000, it's a big sense of relief. They breathe out and think, I can swing $1,000. So glad that that's the price. Makes it seem like peanuts, right? And then what I do is I really cement it. I hit it home, and I clarify, not $1,000 for each service, which would be $5,000, like it usually would be. What I'll do is I'll bring them all together for you in one. We take care of everything. The areas where you leak revenue to your competitors are fixed, and your business has a machine installed. 1 customer a month, and it pays for itself 10 times over. That sound reasonable? And you ask that question. Not does it sound good, does it sound reasonable? Makes it a very, very easy yes. To say, yes, that does sound easy, very, very reasonable. And again, I've anchored on where they leak, where they're losing money, money that they own, money that's theirs, business that's theirs, customers that's theirs. They lose the money. They don't want to lose it anymore, right? And we fix that loss, fixed. Very comfortable position to be in. If you think about that in your mind, if you're losing something and someone says they can fix it, it feels good. You feel settled. You don't feel super excited. You feel calm, and you feel very settled. And then we anchor it with the juggernaut, right? Which is 1 customer a month, and it pays for itself 10 times over. 10 times over. Does that sound reasonable? It's hard to say no at that point, right? It's hard to say that does not sound reasonable. So you can see how I'm using language here to basically position it in a very certain way. So the simple process here is install a service for them. We want to expose the gaps, and we want to introduce a no-brainer deal. That is how we flow from 1 service installed, exposing the gaps, to create that no-brainer offer. We anchor the price point to their business, and we naturally open and close the doors. That's the beauty of it. Okay. Now, you've also got the power of silence. Throughout this process, I bounce the question to the prospect, and I let them feel the silence. I really let them feel it. Like it's almost like a little bit where they're hurting. Just a little bit, not too much, right? Just a little bit, so they feel it. Because when they can feel emotionally attached to that problem, they want the solution a lot more, and it means they're really paying attention. I'm not just letting it run. I'm not just telling them information. I'm making them feel it, which means they digest it. So they're not looking to see demos and all that kind of stuff. We're past that point. I've brought emotion into the equation. And the silence is self-admission. That's very, very important. I'm not telling them they have the problem. They're telling me they have the problem. I'm just opening the question up. I'm just opening the can of worms. That's all I'm doing. And the silence, because I haven't given them the, I've not led them to the next answer. I've let them sit with the answer. And this is actually controversial. This is probably against what a lot of people do. They tell you to don't ask yes or no questions, don't ask difficult questions they don't have an answer to. They tell you to lead them to a certain answer. Fine, that's okay. But the way I like to do it is I like to use that silence and load it. I like to load the silence so that they sit with it, and it acts as this sense of self-admission where I don't have to tell them that they have the problem. They come to the conclusion themselves that they have this problem, and then they have control. Remember I said at the start of this call, I want to give them this sense of control because people make decisions from positions of control. Then they realize the solution, which then allows me to come in and rescue them from that position of chaos, from that position of feeling quite exposed, not too sure where to go from there. We can rescue them. And we can do this using each of the services. Now, another quick example here. Let's say we use the AI employee demo. So we want to drive traffic through email or through ads, getting people to call the AI employee. So we get them to call it and they can experience it themselves, and then they can install it into their business so that if they want to do so, they can book a call. The AI employee will book them into the calendar. So how do we transition? How do we get them from just the AI employee all the way to the maximum package? It's just a case of exposing the gap in different ways. So, for example, the AI employee might answer their calls, but a gap is exposed when they lose business to their competitors because they don't have recent reviews or they've got low volume. We expose the gap. The AI employee is the core of the machine, right? It converts leads 24/7. The review system ensures they're not losing customers to local competitors with better reviews. Database reactivation recovers all the calls they've missed over the years, all the quotes, all the site visits, depending on the industry, all the site visits they've done, all the people that just disappeared after getting a quote, the people that thought they'd get a resort-style swimming pool installed for 10 grand, all those types of people that are there just waste their time, right? We can remove the time wasters, but we can reactivate all of the old quotes. They probably have a list of them. And then the referral system turns customers into a consistent acquisition channel automatically. So basically what we're saying is, in short, the AI employee answers your calls, but what if you've not got enough calls? What if you don't have that? Now, as a caveat, there's a reason I didn't use that. There's a reason I framed that differently. The reason is, if you're selling an AI employee and you lead them to the conclusion and you say, what if you don't have enough calls? It gives them an objection to not install the AI employee in the first place, to not value that as highly, to not see the outcome they want from it. It basically puts words into their mouth. So you'll notice that I skirted around that, right? I basically just used it, framing it as they could be losing business to their competitors. They're having to pay for new customers all the time. What if they had referrals coming in? What if they had all those those people who ghosted and disappeared, the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of quotes that just sit on a database? What if we reactivated them? What if we could inject cash into their business that quickly? So we're just basically exposing the different gaps. And we can do this with any piece of the system. We can use this first, we can use this first, this or this. Any of these we can sell on the front end and expose the gaps the exact same way, just as I've done on this call. Now, one very, very important concept here. I don't want them to feel like they're buying separate components, one thing after the next. We do not want that. I want them to feel like they're making the entire machine stronger, how it complements what they're doing, whether it's improving the reviews or installing an AI employee. It all weaves together. Every piece strengthens the whole system. We're not buying individual components. We're not trying to sell those because they can have separate objections for each of them if you try to sell them individually. We have to sell them as this machine, and how every single part complements the other part, connects to it. Okay, very, very important that you understand this concept. This changes the dynamic entirely, and this is the magic. This is the exact sales flow I use, always creating the next problem by solving the first problem, then solving the secondary problem, and so on. You'll notice that not once did I really sell the bells and the whistles. Not once did I tell them the different components of a database reactivation campaign. Not once did I say how it works or how review systems work and integrate or demo AI employees. Not once did I touch any of that stuff. Not even come close. I'm simply relating the system to their outcome, what it means for them. So let's run through a sales framework checklist that you can follow. So as I said, I'm going to take you through the checklist here. I'm going to turn this into a document that you can follow. So you can use this strategy, you can use these techniques, these frameworks, these psychological triggers throughout your process. But I've got it on slides here first so you can see. I'm going to add a few pieces of psychological language we can use, like fix this and anchoring towards the most successful people in their industry, all these types of things. I'm going to add those in, but this is going to be like a checklist for you, but I've got it on the slides here so you can see it, but I'll turn it into a checklist as well. So the first step is to go in with the right philosophy. So we're not selling features. We're not trying to info dump systems or overwhelm the prospect. Very important not to do so. You want to expose the gaps, open and close the doors, guide the prospect towards their own conclusion. It's all about creating those light bulb moments, but this is a skill, right? This is a skill. This is a skill that you can learn. Once you learn how to do this, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Not just in sales, in everyday conversations. You will be amazed at how your conversation transforms. It's incredible. Simply because you can lead people to the right answer that you want without having to tell them what to think, right? You just say things in certain patterns that makes them think a certain way, which means instead of the hardcore closers that you see out there that control the call and say, hey, what would your family think if you failed? What would your kids think? All that. You've probably seen that stuff before, right? Or experienced it yourself. Instead of all that really like dirty, icky sort of stuff, we give the prospect control. We give them control. We let them control the call, or so they feel. We're still controlling the call. We're just doing it in a very skillful way. And I promise you, this skill is so valuable for you to learn. If you learn this, it's so high leverage. Every conversation that you have, whether you go to the dentist like me and you want to get what you want out of it, or whatever that you do, if it's the car mechanic, and I'm using scenarios here because they're real time with me right now. The dentist, I've got the car mechanic, the car's getting fixed, like a power steering thing. I get in what I want, right? From what I need from it. You'll be amazed at what happens. So this is so much higher leverage than just this particular training. Put time into learning this skill. The prospect should feel, it's a very important line, these people understand problems I haven't even thought about yet. That's the goal, to have that moment of understanding. So that's step one. Step two is to identify the gap, the goal first. So we can identify the goal, but we know what the goal is. Before we even start, we know the goal is to make more money without having to spend more money, but we can make them say it. So you've got to understand what they're actually trying to achieve and just pull it out of them. What's the main goal for your business right now? Do you want to increase your revenue? Okay, perfect. Now, in terms of investment, do you want to keep your marketing spend as low as possible? Yeah, I do. Okay, so you want to make more money without having to spend more money. Every path leads to the same outcome, right? Pull it out of them. That's the goal here. So You're identifying the different objectives that they have. You're identifying that they want more leads, better conversions, more time freedom, etc. But that's soft stuff there, right? We're just pulling it out of them. Then we're going to identify the first problem as step number 3. Do not jump into systems here. So don't jump into systems. Find the first bottleneck. The first problem is the entry point. It's not the full sale. It's simply the entry point. Common entry points: not enough leads, missed calls, low reviews, poor follow-up, not enough time, no referrals, always having to pay for new customers, a database where they've got tons and tons of leads that do nothing, or a weak sales process, a weak conversion process. So we're identifying the first pain point. Step 4 is we want to relate it to money, okay? We don't want to just say it feels good to get more reviews. What does that mean for them? Always ask that question. What does it mean? What do more reviews mean for you? More customers will choose me. What does that mean? Well, my revenue will increase. All roads lead to one, right? You'll find it's the same every single time. Every sales call follows the same pattern. Sure, Charles, I'll pop back here. If you take a picture now. You got it? Yeah, perfect. Okay, so all roads lead to one. We want to keep it very, very simple. We do not want to overwhelm them. We want to keep it outcome focused as well. Very, very outcome focused. We do not want to explain technical features. We don't want to explain workflows, in-depth knowledge bases. We don't want to talk like software support, and we don't want to present multiple systems at once. You'll notice how I just dialed into one every single time, and I really pushed it, and I really worked it, and I worked the pain, and I worked the solution of every single component. Yet it didn't feel like that to them. It didn't feel like I was listing all these things. They've got all these decisions to make. No, I just, in a conversational tone, opened the door, exposed the problem, let them sit with it, solve the problem, give them that sense of calm, right? Removing them from chaos. Basically, this is an art of putting them in a sense of chaos and taking them out, but making sure they feel like they have control, because that's when they buy. So we present one system as the solution each time, and we continue on from there. Step number 5, this is the core of the framework. Once problem number 1 is solved, we expose the next bottleneck created by solving it. More leads, they can't answer the calls that they have, so they lose the opportunity. More calls, they're nervous or they have a weak sales process. They've got better reviews, which means more inbound leads, which means they miss the calls. They've got more customers. Well, they're not making the most of them. They're losing money because they've got no referral process in place. Ask, but what happens when? Do you currently have a process for this certain thing? Will your current setup handle this? So I'm asking these questions that I know are basically loaded, and I can leave them in a position where they don't want to tell me no. They don't want to. That's the key. They don't want to say, no, my current system can't handle. That's not what I'm aiming for. What I'm aiming for is discomfort. I'm aiming for the silence. I'm aiming for the pause and the maybe it might be able to. I'm not sure. It's never experienced it before, so it's hard to tell. So I'm not really sure. I'm looking for the uncertainty, right? That's the exact response I'm looking for. So step number 6, as I said, I'll put this into a document for everyone, like a checklist, right? And I'll add a few bits to it as well. Using silence properly. After exposing a gap, we stop talking. An abrupt halt. Let them think. Let that silence sit like a dead weight. Let them admit uncertainty to themselves. It's self-awareness. They realize the gap exists in their own business without me having to tell them it exists. The emotion, that emotional process of sitting with the silence and coming to the realization is far more powerful than anything that you can say. And you've got internal rationalization. I actually don't have that handled. You're not attacking them. You're not exposing them. You're not showing them, look, you've got this big problem. You're allowing them to see it themselves. And they don't have to say, yeah, I have that problem. All I'm looking for is the little hesitation, the little second thought That's all I want. Step number 7. Here comes Superman. Rescue the prospect. So once the gap is exposed, we want to relieve that tension, take them out of it, use these transition phrases like, well, the good news is, and again, notice how I said that, again, all these calls are recorded. Sometimes how I'm saying something is actually more important than what I'm actually saying. It's a 4-word sentence, right? The good news is, but the way I said it is slow. It's intentional. The good news is, it gives it more weight. And it immediately shifts the emotional state from a position of concern to relief. And then actually we can solve that too. We can take care of that too. It reinforces that you're always one step ahead of them. So this is what I want. I want that sense of controlling that emotion. I want that sense of, oh, they're always one step ahead of me. And phrases like, that's exactly why we built X, Y, or Z. It creates that sense of confidence, trust, and dependence on the framework. So again, it reinforces the fact that we have everything already done. We know your problems before you've even experienced them. And any problem you can think of, we have experienced it before and we can just take care of it. So it takes all that pressure away from you. All the stuff that's spinning in your mind from work, from employees, from customers, from products or services to accountants, all the way to your daily home life, going on vacation. Did you turn the oven off when you left the house? What about the iron? Did you turn that off? Who's picking the kids up from school today? Is soccer practice on? All these things, right? You got to remember, it's not just business problems. People are people. They've got 1,000,010 problems. All we have to do is take that pressure away. Lead them. Lead them. How much more comfortable did kids feel when parents led them? They felt like they could rely on their parents to tell them what to do. It's a little bit of that, right? It's a little bit of, it takes the pressure off them. It makes it easy. The next step's in front of them. They know what to do. Someone that knows what they're doing is going to tell them what to do. They don't have to make that decision. It is one less decision they have to make. That's sales. That's what we're doing. One less decision. Step number 8, connect every system together. So we never want to make it feel like separate services, random upsells, or different softwares and stuff. We position it as everything strengthens the machine, everything supports the outcome, the end goal, increases efficiency, and protects revenue. We're not installing random tools. We're building a business machine. Okay. Then step number 9, translate everything into revenue. This is very, very important. We have to make that connection. We don't want to leave a system abstract. Like, it's not nice to have more reviews. It's not nice to have more referrals. What does that mean? What does it mean for the bottom line? Tie everything into a tangible financial outcome. One extra installation, one additional HVAC installation per month, that's $100K per year on the low end. Tell them what it is. Tell them what that equates to. Recovering lost quotes, recovering money that you've already earned and you've put the work into. You've just got to go collect it. It's already yours. You already put the work in. You've already been out. You've inspected the site. You've done the sales process. You thought it was closed. We just got to get it over the line. It's already yours before it goes to your competitor. So you see how I can connect that in? After hours calls, right? This is a big one. Capturing after hours calls. Such a simple sentence, but it has very little weight to it, right? Very little weight. One very important thing is we can connect it to revenue and also emotion. So this is where after hours calls means very little. We have to put it into a scenario they understand and can relate to. When you're having dinner with your family and the phone's ringing and you know it's late, but you don't want to interrupt the dinner. When you're spending time with your kids, when you're putting them to bed and you're reading them a bedtime story. Nuanced examples. When you're watching the soccer practice and you don't want to stand at the sidelines on a call and you let it go to voicemail. All of these calls, every single one of them is missed revenue. But you don't want to take away from your family. Like, listen, don't worry, we can fix that. You don't have to worry about that. There's a world where you can bring that revenue in, convert it, and not take time away from family life. So I'm playing with the emotional side as well. And then you've got the referral engine as well. So turning customers into referrals. Put it into context, 30% more customers with 0 ad spend. If 1 in 3 refer, you get 1 additional customer for every 3 you work with, and you don't have to pay for them. Step number 10, if we have to anchor the price to their business. If 1 additional installation per month covers this 10 times over, it becomes a very small decision, a no-brainer. So we never defend price emotionally. We let the numbers do the work for us. So I want to anchor against the things they're losing, the money they're losing, 1 extra deal they no longer have, competitors taking what's theirs, the leads that are theirs, and calling them first. And they're getting punished basically for having dinner with their kids. They go to their competitors. You know how customers are. That's what happens. Let's stop that. That's your business. That's yours. That should be yours. We can fix that. And we make it a small decision. So when it's a 10x investment, or it's a 10x return on investment, it feels very, very small. It feels like a no-brainer to them. So we want to anchor to that. Step number 11, present the offer as one system. So we don't stack prices. We never say, well, the AI employee costs 1,000, then you've got the database reactivation, that's another 1,000, then you've got the review, that's another 1,000 on top. We don't want to do that, right? It adds too much pressure to it. It adds too much complexity. They start thinking they can strip things away. We simply say all the components are usually individually $1,000 per month each, all 5 of them, and let them do the numbers in their head. Because again, you want them to, if you just tell them this is 1,000, this is 1,000, this is 1,000, they don't digest it. They just sit there and they hear things, but they don't really think about it. I let them do the math. 5 services, 1,000 per month each. I let them add it up, and then I bring it all together. Whereas it's only $1,000 for the whole system, the entire thing. That's it. So it's the entire business machine. It keeps it very, very simple, but it allows them, it forces them to digest what I'm saying, not just hear what I'm saying. Very different. Step number 12, we've got ask for agreement naturally. We're not saying, so how do you want to pay? We ask for agreement naturally. We don't want scarcity. We don't want aggressive objection handling. We don't want pressure. All we do is ask. We tee it up for them, right? You know, 1 installation, you get a 10 times return every month on your investment. Does that sound reasonable? So I've asked a question that tees it up where they can't really say no. Of course, that sounds reasonable. And also, if you remember back to the presentation, I anchored the price at 25K. So they're bracing for impact. Then I've dropped it all the way to $1,000. And then I've said 1 installation, I've put it into real terms. 1 installation, you get a 10x return every month. Does that sound reasonable? Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable. Very easy. Yes, it's a different way to close. So this is like a micro agreement. So it's not all just leading up to one big, yeah, I want to do this. I've got them bought into the process throughout, right? And I've anchored numbers. It's a bit of an art form, but the good news is that you have the art form right here in this process, right? You don't have to go learn how to put it all together. You've got it here. All you have to do is know your flow, and the flow is right here. It's right in front of you. You just have to learn that. So it's very much a lot easier for you. I mean, you could spend hundreds of hours on calls, understanding these processes and doing mindset training and understanding sales psychology, and you go through all that process so you know how to put this together. Or you can just take what we have and use it for yourself, which is a lot easier. So step number 13, we're almost at the end here. You want to give them the emotional flow of the sales call. This is so important. You've got relief, which is you understand my problems. You've got concern, which is I didn't think about that. You've got relief again. Again, it's the transition, right? I'm playing with this. I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So good. They solve that too. Concern. I'm also leaking more revenue. I'm losing money elsewhere. Relief is they've got a solution in place for it already. The cycle repeats itself throughout the call, creating these light bulb. I mentioned at the start, the light bulb moments. This pattern creates that sense of trust. This back and forth creates that sense of trust. And it creates that magnetic feeling where they feel this dependence on me. They feel this dependence because I know the problems they don't even know yet, but I've already got the solution. So they gravitate towards me. They want more and more because I make them feel safe and secure. And that's the magic of it. So we're creating this. This is not just, everything's intentional here. Okay, everything, and that's what you'll notice. The things I say, they're intentional. The language I use, it's intentional. So step 14, what not to do. Don't list features. Don't sound technical. Don't explain workflows in depth. If you find yourself doing that, go back to this training. You missed a point of it. Use this flow. We do not want to go into workflows or detail. You don't want to rush things. You want to take it slow. Don't talk constantly. Let them, the best line you can use at the start of a call, if you're feeling nervous, or not even if you're feeling nervous, just generally speaking, you say, hey, how's it, whatever their name is, how's it going? Whereabouts you located? They'll tell you where they're located. Ah, nice. Okay. What's your story? Tell me about what you got going on. Silence. They just start talking. It removes all tension because people feel very comfortable telling you their entire story. And you can pick pieces from that and relate to them. That's how you build this rapport, this magical word of, this elusive word of rapport building. One line, tell me your story. Done. Because now you've got all the ammunition you need. Every piece of it. And people love to talk and tell you their story, which is a great thing. I love hearing the stories. It's a great thing though, right? It's a great thing. But it's the key word, it's the key phrase that gets them to open up, and all of a sudden they feel much more comfortable with you because they feel as if they've just told you their life story to someone they don't even know yet. But yet you can dig in and you can ask questions, right? And build that trust. That's how it works. So don't rush is the point of that. Don't over-explain things either. Keep it concise and don't overwhelm them. Keep it very simple. Keep it focused on the outcome of their business. That is the key. Always, if you say something like an AI employee does this, always link it back to the outcome of their business. That's the golden rule. If you delve into a feature even slightly, link it back. It's like the rule you must live by. If you mention a feature, link it back to the outcome. You must always end with the outcome that the prospect experiences based on what they actually want. And we don't want to sell disconnected services. We don't defend pricing. We don't sound desperate to close. None of this sounded desperate to close. It sounded blasé, right? It really did. Very off the cuff. It sounded, I didn't even really present the price point. I anchored it earlier so that there's no objection on the price point because it seems like a no-brainer. I don't have to say it's $1,000 per month and then they say, what do I get with that? I've told them it's worth 25 and they've agreed because most people agree. Remember that line? Most people agree. So I've anchored it. Step 15, and we're coming up to the close here now. Step 15 is the final positioning. So the prospect should leave the call feeling all of the above. They thought of problems that I didn't even realize. Everything connects together. This solves revenue leaks throughout the business. This isn't software, it's infrastructure. These systems work together like a machine. This is what you want them understanding from it. And that's your goal. If you keep this in mind, your calls will be significantly better. So here's the core formula. We've got the problem, we expose the gap, we sit in the silence, we introduce the relief, the superhero moment, we open the door to the next problem. This here just loops over and over and over again. Tattoo this on, right? Every service that you have to sell, tattoo this on. Every time you have a call, go through that framework. It doesn't matter if you're selling steaks from the local butcher, go through this every single time. It is magical when you do. So it's the framework. Every service opens a door, it closes a gap, it creates the next realization, and it leads naturally into the next solution. That's what creates the natural ascension, easier closes, larger retainers, less resistance, and more trust. And finally, step 17, the prospect should never feel like they're being sold to. They should always feel this sense of, I finally found the people that understand exactly how to fix this. And because you can predict their future problems that they haven't even thought about, the trust naturally builds. If you've ever thought about, well, what about testimonials? What if they ask for references? What if they ask for all this proof that I don't have yet? What about that? If you go through this process, they don't ask, because your pattern of knowing what their problems are before they even think about it proves expertise, right? That proves the expertise. They feel silly asking the question, oh, I'm not sure about this. Do you have some reviews? You know more than they do, right? It proves the expertise. It proves the experience. So you will not be asked that question as a result of it. And that is the entire philosophy. That is the magic, and that is the framework. And I am out of breath, quite frankly, after that one. That was a long one for me. All right. I'm going to open up the room now for any questions that anybody has, any feedback that they have on this training, what they thought about it. Did you find it useful? Are there parts you want to see? As I said, I'm going to turn this into a document for you. So it's like a checklist. So you've got everything that you need. But yes, I'm going to open up the room to any questions or any comments that people have. It doesn't have to be about this either. It can be about what you're working on or whatever, but I'll open up now. Anybody want to go first? Feel free. Daryl's asking, can this sales SOP be turned into a sales webinar? What do you mean? I'm a little confused by the sales SOP part, Daryl. If you just elaborate a little bit more. If you want to mute yourself, or you can do it in the chat if you want to as well. All right, I don't know if you're typing. I can't see. I can come back to it in a few seconds if you're typing up your answer. Christina, you got a question?
Hi. Yes. So that was really useful. So I've got a couple of people who I kind of, after I'd discovered the system, had kind of similar chats with them. So obviously not following that exact framework, but kind of definitely started off chatting about reviews, and then it kind of led to other things. So one of those is one of the play equipment people that I mentioned. So I then after the meeting, so they were both face-to-face meetings. Then I followed up with them with an email with the kind of details. So one lady said that she's got she had something on, and she'll kind of like give it some headspace soon. And then the other guy was really keen, and then hasn't responded to any of my emails or anything since then. How would you handle that? Do you just keep following up until they literally tell you to stop, or what do you do then? Okay. Or what could I have done differently, for next time?
Okay. So the goal, what you could have done differently is, I tend to never send emails ever, follow up emails. I will always just get them on a call every time. And I know it's not always easiest, but I'll give you a couple of ways that I do this. And the first way I'll give you is what to do right now with those prospects. What you want to do is you want to take their business in particular, whatever that may be, like the playgrounds or whatever that might be, and you just want to send them a text message or an email, whatever means that you have. Ideally a text message if you have their number, but if not, it's all good. And just say very short, give me one of their names.
Chris.
Good. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I could have used any name, I guess, but hey, Chris. I was just thinking about your business. or give them the niche. I was just thinking about the playground niche, and I think I've got something that might be a little different, and I wanted to run it past you, but I think it might be quite powerful for you. Do you have 15 minutes tomorrow? And just leave it there.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I do this is because, number one, curiosity killed the cat, right? They're going to be curious. They're going to book the call in with you. And what you want to do is you want to prepare something just along the lines of, like, it was AI employees, for example, if it was the playgrounds, like the maintenance side, where it's been able to, I'm trying to think of an exact scenario for that one without too much context.
Mm.
I would use one of the systems to create a unique angle for it. So if it was AI employees and it was a case of, say it was a trampoline park or something like that, where it just allows them to answer all the questions about the socks that they need. Do they have to buy the socks or whatever the questions they hate, like that, something they really hate, something that's very particular. It doesn't have to be magical. It can just be, oh, that would take a lot off my plate, all those silly questions that come up. Or if it was the maintenance, having, I know you mentioned in the group about reminding them about the maintenance, something along those lines, where it was how you transition the maintenance visits into upgrades, for example, naturally after the visit. So using the automation, it's just the reactivation, right? But just framed slightly differently. So you want to have this big idea and get them on a call, because you'll always be able to close people on the call far more easily, just like that, because you can get them in an emotional position, and it's just, okay, let's go, let's get this installed. And you onboard them right there and then. You don't do separate calls. You just do it like right there and then. Okay, perfect. Let's get you onboarded. I'm going to take you through a quick form. What's the business's full name? And you start entering into the Stripe order form, right? And you all go all the way down to the card number. You've got to get them on that call. That's the golden rule. Get them on the call. Don't do it through email, because things like that happen. And, for me, I've got tons of things that I have to get around to in my inbox. I just leave unopened because I've got stuff to do. I've got stuff on and I'm interested in stuff, but I've got stuff I've got to do first. Whereas if I'm on a call, there's nowhere to go. That makes sense?
Yeah.
To raise questions.
So if so in the future, so say someone, so you would kind of then just arrange the next call. So you wouldn't kind of follow up by email. You'd basically say, if they want to sometimes think about it, you kind of say, oh, look, should we have a catch up next week or something like that, and book the call in then? Is that what you would do?
You mean if you were doing this in person, if you met them?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what I would do is I wouldn't even do it next week. I'd say, okay, perfect. Listen, have a think about it tonight. I've got something pretty good to show you tomorrow. So what are you free around 1 o'clock tomorrow for 15 minutes? And always say 15 minutes. Are you free for 15 minutes tomorrow? I've got some interesting I can show you. And you don't have to really show them anything. You can have something to show them, sure. But what it does is it fast tracks that decision. So people are always going to want to wait and delay and think about things. But how long do you need to think about it, right? And don't say that, but how long do they need, right? They can think about this in an hour and make a decision on it that fast. So it really is a case of, this isn't a complicated decision to make, but I would just say to them, perfect, well, listen, have a think about it tonight. Tomorrow, I've got something I want to show. I want to sit down. I've got something I want to show you. If you've got 15 minutes, about 1 o'clock, and you'll notice how I'm saying that. It's very, there's no real room to kind of maneuver. I'm kind of forcing the yes out of that. Perfect. Listen, let's chat at 1 o'clock tomorrow. I'll send you the invite, and I'll get the stuff ready. And the reason I say get the stuff ready, or I will get the stuff ready, is because it creates guilt for a no-show. It shifts that power position. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
That's what I would do.
Cool.
All right. Do you have any other questions?
No, I think that's good. I'll probably read into it all. So, but yeah, that was fab. Thank you.
Perfect. No worries. All right. I'm just catching up in the chat here. And Daryl, you're asking, can we use this structure to prepare slides for a one-to-many webinar? And Olivia, you're saying, I don't think that will work the same way, except if it's in the same niche. Otherwise, you will have issues to connect it back to their business model. Yeah, if it was the same niche, yes, you could use the same framework. I mean, this is basically the framework of every successful webinar, every successful workshop. Even if you think back to the 3-day workshops, what I'm doing is I'm exposing problems and solving that problem. I'm exposing the problems, I'm letting it sit in people's brains over the course of days, and then I'm creating that sense of relief where we just take care of everything for them. That's the flow. So you'll notice if you look at everything that we do, 3-day workshops, if it's a webinar, if it's a sales call, it follows the same pattern. So technically, Daryl, yes, you can. Yeah, you can. You just have to be, I'd say, in the same niche, because like Olivia said there in the chat, it is niche specific. You want to be specific, and just like he said too, it will be better one-on-one too. And Charles, I'm just catching up with your comment here. Trying to close 950, want to keep your month under current. It is, without a call, it is hard. But you could do the webinar to book the calls. You could do that, so it's more like an order taking call. You could position it like that. And I'm just catching up here. So yeah, you could put it into an evergreen webinar, but maybe do it to the call. But then the call is quite easy. It's like a order taking call. So
yeah, like build the workshop like I did, but have it lead to a call to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you need use the model for a workshop, but you need a call booking funnel. And
yeah, exactly.
You're doing the workshop model, but you're closing. You're not creating this to say, hey, it's going to do that's what I was kind of leading at, Daryl. Like I built out a 3-day workshop with Niall, and ultimately the call to action at the end is book a call with us. At the end of it, I wouldn't expect somebody to try to, spend $12,000 without having a phone call with me. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. And what you'll find is, because you've taken them through that process on a workshop or on a webinar or whatever that might be, you'll find that they don't have very many objections. It's more so just answering any last questions, and they're there to buy. Like they're booking the call to buy. So you're not going to be wasting time with unqualified. They know the price points typically at that point. It's more so just settling any nerves they may have, or maybe they've got certain scenarios they want to ask you about, which is absolutely fine. As I say, it's more like an order taking call rather than a full sales call at that point, because the webinar does the sales for you. But what I would say, one important thing is, if you are doing it like that, you have to make sure you nail it, right? You've got to nail this process, because like Olivia says, it's far more powerful on a call one-on-one where they get that sense of back and forth conversation. It just means you've got to nail the webinar if you want to do it like this and get it right, because you don't have that chance to answer any objections, or more importantly, correct how they're thinking. Sometimes people think they understand something a certain way in their own world based on their experiences, and it's not how you intended for them to understand it. And they might create objections that aren't even relevant, but they're relevant to them because they're misunderstanding things. So you don't get the chance to realign how they're thinking. So just be careful, not be careful, but just remember that when you're building it, and build for that purpose is what I would say. Charles, did you have a question that you wanted to cover?
Yeah, something came up in the chat earlier this week that I wanted to kind of touch on. So I built out my legal agreement where I'm charging the $950 a month, and it's all inclusive. So, with the AI employee, I think somebody touched on, it being 80 cents a minute. If we're doing that, can we potentially run into, somebody racking up a $200 bill on us, where this becomes, I'm outsourcing the work, so I'm paying to have somebody do everything behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and I get whacked, and I get a $200, $300 bill, because at 80 cents a minute, that can quickly run up. So I just want to kind of, do I need to protect myself there in the agreement, or? if you understand what I'm saying.
I
There's
think
a-
you should include the 97 unlimited
Yeah.
in your price point.
I actually wouldn't include it. What I would do is I would have it run, because oftentimes you'll find people won't spend 97, so you want to be able to at least have that margin when you can. But what Olivia is basically saying there, Charles, is there's a $97 per month unlimited plan they have where it caps it at $97 a month. So if someone ever went above that, you can just cap it 97 and they get unlimited usage. You can set that as your standard for everybody, but also a lot of people won't use that much and they might use $10 a month. So that's like $80 of margin right there that you can keep. So
basically you monitor the usage, and if they start to arrive near that level where they're gonna pass the 97 a month, you switch to unlimited.
So, Niall, because I'm on the SaaS plan.
Mhm.
So am I setting somebody up on a 90? Like, I just want to understand. Maybe that's something we talk about offline. You understand? I'm creating sub accounts underneath my plan, rolling them in, and I was just going to roll them in and have my credit card information underneath there and just cover it. So I'm actually setting them up and having a 90. Like, I just want to make sure.
Okay. No, it's so it's the 97 per month is not GoHighLevel account. What it is the AI employee function within the GoHighLevel account. So if you're from your perspective, you're saying like you're going to charge 500 to 1,000 per month, and your card is going to be for the usage, which means it's basically the customer doesn't feel it, it's included. All you would do is there's a button where you can convert that sub account to unlimited AI usage, which is 97 a month. So your card would just be billed to 97, which is the max, the cap. It can't go any higher than that. And that would be your hard cost. That's all. That's the only difference that would happen. So it means that if they ever did go above that, you can just flip to unlimited. The reason I say you don't have to initially start with that is a lot of people will use $10, and then you've got an extra $80 in margin there every time.
Okay. And then if I see somebody's going above it, I can always switch them.
You just toggle it on, yeah, because it's your card, so they won't even notice anything.
Yeah, that's why I was doing it. I was just going to put it in, charge them the $950. I have my outsourcing that I'm paying. They're setting everything up, and they were just setting it up that everything's going to bill to me, and we were just going to allow whatever they're doing. I'm paying the bill, and they're paying us, and I'm paying from. I thought that was the correct way to do it. So this
It
whole
is. It's just having that stopgap, basically, is what it is, where you can almost flip it. That's it.
Got it. And then just on my side, that's where I would see that we watch it for a month or two, and that's where we trigger. I have her trigger it inside and say, start billing me 97 on this account. So we're not at a $200, $300. Got it. And then that's where the profit margin just drops a little on that account.
Exactly.
No problem.
But it's maxed.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Olivia. I appreciate that, Olivia.
No worries. Just a question on that, Neil. Do you think that there is a possibility of an automation that detects when you reach a certain usage and then or at least send you a notification, or do you think that you have to do that manually?
I don't know if there's an automation, but what I think you could do is I think you could set the billing threshold to something like $70. And if you see that $70 come out more than once over the course of a month, okay, switch it. That would be your trigger. There probably is an automation. I haven't tried to do that, but
just a thought process.
Yeah. I think that would be the way I would. My mechanical brain kind of thinks like, well, if I set the threshold to top up at $70, then it's capped. If I preload $70 and all of a sudden 3 weeks later I'm preloading $70 again, I know to flip.
Yeah.
And I have to do that per account, right? I can't just do that on the agency level.
Correct.
Where I just pop it in as 500 for the entire agency for all the sub accounts that are below. So I have to go in each time and set each threshold at $50 and nail the card for 50 each time. Correct?
Yes, I'm just
You
trying to.
understand what I'm saying? Like ultimately, I have my master account, and as we're bringing people in, because I just want to have the SOP as she knows, when somebody comes in, set them at X dollar figure for that part of it.
Yeah,
the
the actual-
usage is per sub account, so
Yeah.
yes, yeah,
It's
Yeah.
per sub account. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, because that, as again, that go high level is not my thing. That's not my side. So I'm sure she would have figured it out, but I'm glad I'll bring it up to her once we get off. I'll shoot a message to her so we're on the same page.
For sure. For
All right.
sure.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Does anybody else have any questions? It doesn't have to be about this. It can be about anything.
One last the earlier slide, because I didn't have my phone. The earlier slides you went through before you got to the steps, will you be sending those over? Will we get access to those today? The will those be exact?
Can do. Yeah, I can do. I can do.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because I only got to step one. I grabbed my phone as you were going through. Typically, I try to take a snapshot so I can read and go through everything again, but I didn't have my phone next to me. It took me a minute to find it.
Yeah.
So,
No worries.
all right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. No worries. Olivia, you got a question?
Just a little feedback. I used the Ask AI to start to build workflow. For one of the first time today, and you have to be very careful. You have to double check a lot of things because you have to be very, very specific in your prompting when you're prompting it to do something.
Mhm.
Otherwise, sometimes it can create conflict of things. Like, for example, I was asking to mention, there was the project state mentioned in the form that I was making fill it up. And then after that, he called it, he created the custom value himself, like state,
Mhm.
but like in the contact, in the address, there is also a field called state. Then the automation was not working after. He was not creating the opportunity properly. So yeah, you have to be really, it's great to do the big part of the work, like 60%, 70%, but then you have to be checking things out after and testing it really to make sure everything works properly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's their new feature, Ask AI.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come along, but yeah, I'd imagine because I could see many different channels I could fall down.
Yeah, there's so many little, so many possibilities and little details that you need to express properly in your prompt or in your voice before that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
be careful.
Exactly. Wait, go for it. Or did you not? Yep.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm out shopping with my wife, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and I'm
That sounds
hiding.
fun. You're
Anyway,
hiding? Did you say you're
Yeah.
hiding?
I'm hiding. I'm sitting on my wallet. Anyway, just wanted to say another great call.
You must be 10 feet tall, Wade, if you're sitting on your wallet. Jeez, it's pretty thick. Must be super tall.
No, I'm trying to sit on it to keep it as tall as it still is. No, they're having fun. Just wanted to say another good show. I've been seeing all your stuff coming out, man. It's I don't know how you do all this. This is brilliant.
I appreciate it. We're cranking some stuff
You
out
are.
at the moment. Yeah.
Did you? Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I don't have any questions. I'm mainly just a little overwhelmed.
Sure, natural. But yeah, I mean, I would basically tell you that the simpler you can keep it, with you're a master of sales, you know what these processes are like. So it's just a simple case of solving the problems. And the good news is that you have all the systems pre-built. So you just have to learn basically this sales flow, and you're off to the races because someone can do the fulfillment over. It's all pre-built, but it's someone can set it up, do the onboarding for you and stuff. You just have to learn this flow.
Well, I came across something that I wanted to share with you. As far as sales is concerned, And if you are ever hesitant about sales, this piece of product is pretty sweet. It's less than $50 a month, and it's an AI co-pilot, if you will, that monitors what you're saying and what they're saying, and it can pick up on things you couldn't pick up on.
Oh,
And
nice.
on your screen, it tells you exactly what to say based on whether their response is.
That's interesting. Is it fast? Is it quite fast?
It's extremely, yeah, it happens before you even realize it. It's very natural. It makes you come across as a very knowledgeable person, and you could have no experience at all in the subject you're talking about. You just feed it the information, and all of a sudden, you are the expert.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
It's called Europe.
It's called what? Europe?
Europe. I'll send you a link later,
Okay.
but I'm in this store, and I don't.
Sure.
Anyway, it's really, really good, and I thought I was good at sales. This makes it a baby walk, you know.
All right, send it over to me. I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
Y'all have a blessed day. I've got to act like I'm participating down here, so I'll catch up with y'all later.
Enjoy.
Bye, brother.
Perfect. All right. Anybody else have any questions they wanted to cover? Feel free to ask. You can unmute yourself. You can ask in the chat. If not, it's all good. I'll give you a few more seconds. If anything springs to mind at the last second, feel free to ask. Probably tomorrow, Vince, the upload. He's asking in the chat, will the upload of this will be a couple of days? It'll probably be up tomorrow because I'm flying out to the States on Sunday for some client visits. So I'm trying to get everything done before I go. And so I'll be pretty efficient this week in getting it up for it uploaded. No worries, you haven't people any likes in the chat there. You're welcome. All right. Any last questions before we wrap up? Vince, go for it. Yep.
Let me see. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I know in the past you've mentioned that the scale certified, you were moving to a different training is that along with the WhatsApp?
You mean we'll put all the memberships on GoHighLevel now, so we've transitioned from Teachable. I think we still have both running, so if you wanted to use either, you can. But basically, it's the same content on both sides, so that's just what it is. Just transition into the membership area.
Okay, so is that in like GoHighLevel's like school equivalent?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I know that we're currently developing an AI employee, basically trained on all of our content that's going to be within GoHighLevel. So it'd be good to start using that when you can. So basically, what will happen? It's still in the works, but what will happen is it will be completely trained on all of our systems, our processes, all of our workshops, everything. Absolutely everything. So if you have particular questions, it's like a mind AI type thing, right? So if you have questions about how do I do this, how do I do that, as you're doing stuff, as you're building things, you can ask it and it's trained on exactly what to do. So that's like reason to use GoHighLevel. Okay, so do I like send Sarah an email saying can I get the link to that? Or yeah, so you have an account already on it. It would just be a case of getting the link. We've already set everybody up. It's just we didn't email everybody just because we didn't want to create disruption and confusion. But if you want it, it's there. And that's for people that have been around just for quite a few years. The option's there for you. Everybody who has come in relatively recently already on GoHighLevel. So previously we were hosting on Teachable. That's why. But that was years of uselessness on that platform. All right. Okay, thank you. All right, no worries. Thank you for the training as well. You're welcome. Safe travels, my friend. Thank you.
So Neil, one last thing. You need to create an Ask Neil for like training ourselves on this formulation that you have. You know, this formulation that it comes so naturally to you when you flow in the conversation.
I should build, you know what I should build like a battle bot, right? Where I'll throw objections.
Exactly,
That would be good. That'll good. That'll
Just a
put you
funny
through the
thing like
paces.
that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thanks again, man.
No worries.
Take care.
Seriously, y'all check out Europe, YURP.ai.
Sure, we'll check it out.
Talk to y'all later. Have a blessed day.
See you, Wade.
Bye bye.
See ya. All right. Any last questions? No? All right. Okay, well, I will get this call uploaded when Google sends me the recording. Usually it's 2 hours long, this one, so this will take probably tomorrow before they send it to me, but I'll get that uploaded and I'll post the link in WhatsApp, and I'll also post a link via email as well. If you're not in the WhatsApp yet, make sure you get in there. If you can't see it or you don't know how to access that, just email us and we'll get you taken care of. All right, we'll wrap up the call now. Thank you for coming, everybody. I hope you found that valuable, and have a lovely evening/afternoon, wherever you are. See you, everyone. See ya. See ya.